Server rack batteries are starting to get very affordable, and WattCycle has their metal fort server rack battery, which has a lot of major claims. And I've been using these personally to see if I can actually get the rated capacity out of these. Because some server rack batteries cost anywhere from $1,300 to $1,600 a piece, but these are coming in at only $1,000. So I'm going to share my experience with you about this and how it's tested so far for me, just so that you're aware WattCycle did send this out to me in exchange for an honest review. They do not get to edit, script, change, or request anything of me in this video. And if you appreciate having unbiased reviews like this, make sure you're subscribed. Let's quickly go over the specs, that way you know what this battery is and isn't. As it shows right here, it's a 100 amp hour battery, and it's lithium iron phosphate, which is the type of battery cell which basically doesn't catch on fire and doesn't have any thermal runaway issues. And lithium iron phosphate cells also last much longer than NMC cells, which is what you'd normally find in something like an electric vehicle. I'm gonna rip this open here in a second so that way you can see all of the internals, but they do have a 100 amp rated BMS, and I did put that to the test. And this also has a Bluetooth connection, so that way you can monitor and check the battery through your phone. 51.2 volts, that's the nominal voltage. Anything that uses a 48 volt configuration in terms of inverters and charge controllers, this is going to work with it. On the front, you got your power switch here, which allows you to turn on the screen and the BMS, so that way you can do all of your monitoring and programming without having to turn on the actual battery. But the screen is actually one of my first complaints. I really prefer a base screen that shows me the current state of charge on that home screen. And in this case, I actually have to click on pack in order to get that information. You can also adjust here your equalizing, and it shows if your charge and discharge capabilities are on or off. You can see how much current's coming in, the current voltage of the whole system. All of the basic information you typically want to see is right here, which is nice. I just wish this was the home screen. You can slide over and see all of the individual cells, as well as any alarms that have gone off, and use this chart. I never use this chart, and I've never seen anybody else use it. This is one of the most important pages here, is setting your communication. You can do both CAN and RS-485, which are these Ethernet ports over here. So that way you can use this with pretty much any inverter on the market. Pi or Pylon is one of the most common ones, as well as Lux. But that's one of the things I noticed here, is there isn't a Lux setting, which is the most common for EG4 inverters, which are the number ones that I recommend. But luckily, the EG4 inverters can work with Pylon, so I've been using it on that setting. One of the things that's really different about this battery is there are no dip switches along the front here. You can see none of those exist. This is a dip switch, and what it allows you to do is tell each BMS and each battery which battery this is in the string of other batteries. So this could be battery 1, and then you could change these dip switches to be battery 2, and so on. But for WattCycle, you don't have to use dip switches, which is a convenience because it's easy to accidentally offset one of those little switches and then it doesn't communicate properly. And so this here will go directly to your inverter in order to have communication, and it works for both CAN and RS-485 in the same port. And then if this were my first battery, I would link out with a short Ethernet cable from here to the next battery, going to the link in. I did have an issue with this because I have 3 of these batteries. At one point, I was trying to cycle through the different addresses, but I was having issues with it locating all 3 batteries in order to have proper communication. All I had to do was shut it down a couple of times and let it reset and catch up, and then it worked just fine. Having 2 posts on each side makes life a lot easier. So that way, if you're daisy chaining batteries vertically, then you have all of these open spots. Or if you're using a server rack like this, then you can just take the cable that comes with the battery and put that directly to the bus bar that is in the server rack itself. I personally own 3 of these SunGold Power battery server racks because not only are they some of the most affordable on the market, but they also have built-in fans that I can have plugged in. And so if for some reason in my garage it gets too hot, this can start circulating air. But it's also completely customizable because these shelves can be put in at different heights. But that's one of the beauties of the WattCycle batteries, is they are so short and so much more compact than other batteries like the Vaders on the market, that I can actually fit 7 of these batteries in just one of these SunGold racks. And this is the plug for the fan right here. Another thing that I've not seen on any other server rack battery that I've tested is this has passive airflow for the battery cells in order to keep themselves a little bit cooler. Pretty much every server rack battery I've tested is completely enclosed with no possibility of getting air in or out. So I really think this was a smart feature for them to put in on their end. Some brands will put their batteries in a way inside of the casing here that you can't check the QR codes on the cells and verify the quality of them. To make sure the WattCycle wasn't doing that, I cracked this open to see what was going on inside. At first, I found a nice black insulative layer to make sure that this metal housing can't come in contact with the terminal bars that are on the top of the cells. And I was very happy to see that all of the wires have good protection, good routing, and that everything was very well kept inside of the battery itself. There's a ton of space up front, so I'm not worried about overcrowding and that building up a large amount of heat inside. Plus, I do have these vents here on the side where that heat could get out, but I'm not worried about it because of the space in there. They even went as far as to make sure that a wire that's coming up this side over here has its own dedicated channel next to the insulation board and underneath the top piece of this housing. That not only is it fully protected, but it has its own chase to get around to where it needs to go. I found at least 4 temperature sensors inside, which is what I like to see in a battery like this. They are using their own BMS, which is rated to 100 amps of both input and output. I don't know if it's rebranded from like a JK BMS or anything else, but it does have their logo and everything on it. The bottom line is that everything looked really good inside of here, and checking the QR codes on the cells themselves, I was able to find out that they were manufactured in August of 2025, and they were manufactured by BYD, which is one of the best battery producers in the world. So WattCycle is definitely not cheaping out on any of the components inside of this server rack battery. While underneath the hood, I did not find a fire extinguisher or a fire suppressant of any kind inside of here. It's not necessarily required depending on your application, but it is preferred because this does not have the UL 1973 certification, which is what is required in order to use a battery in conjunction with the grid. So if you want to use these to power your house, unfortunately you cannot, while getting approved for an electrical permit in most cities and counties, but you always got to check with your city and county. It's technically against code to use a battery in conjunction with the grid without that UL certification. So I don't see how it's gonna pass an inspection. Some people aren't concerned about that and they're just gonna be using this in an off-grid scenario, but even still in some off-grid areas, you're still required to use UL certified components. So just check with your local authority on that, or if you don't care at all, then definitely go ahead and use them. One of the cool things that I see WattCycle doing that no other brand is doing is they are actually actively trying to support people with the systems that they have. For example, they have an EcoFlow adapter cable where you can use this as an expansion battery to an EcoFlow system. So that way you can get an affordable large expansion battery without being locked in to something like an EcoFlow branded expansion battery. But I have heard in the marketplace that WattCycle has changed some things on these server batteries. So mine may actually not be the most current, which is definitely cause for concern. But overall, what I can say is for the batteries that I do have, they've performed without any issues and are working great. I don't know if I'll have it done by the time this video posts, but I am working on a battery comparison chart very similar to my free power station comparison chart, where you can compare this battery directly to others on the market and see what the differences are. But all in all, I think this is a good battery and it's one that I'd recommend. And if I do have any coupon codes or anything like that available, they will be in the description down below, as well as to any links to pieces that I recommend. Using these in conjunction with the SunGold server racks and then that with like an EG4 12,000 XP inverter, I think it's a wonderful setup to get affordable power that's good backup, long lasting, and very good quality. So if you're in the market for a server rack battery, definitely give WattCycle a consideration because I do think they're good quality. Just be aware of that UL listing certification. And then my other big gripe about the screen here, I don't have to use the screen all that often because I'm usually using my phone anyway. It's just a little bit of an annoyance. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video.